For the second time that morning, the Japanese had tripped the alarm. And for the second time, nothing happened. December the 7th, 1941, 7 a.m. A mobile radar station on the northwest coast of Oahu picked up the signal of a massive number of aircraft approaching the island from the north. They were less than 140 miles away, moving at 180 miles an hour. A telephone call went immediately to the information center in Honolulu, 40 miles to the southeast. The call was routed to a private named MacDonald, who passed it on to a Lieutenant Tyler, who had just been assigned to the job. Tyler told the radar operators not to worry about it. In his mind, it was just a squadron of American B-17s due in from the mainland. For the third time that day, the Japanese had tripped the alarm, and for the third time, no one seemed to notice. It was 7:15 a.m. At 7:40 a.m., the first wave of airplanes reached the coast of Oahu, guided by the signal from a Honolulu radio station. The bombers and torpedo planes were at 9,000 feet. 5,000 feet above them, the Zeros flew cover. At 7:50 a.m., the first wave reached Pearl Harbor. Among their first targets, Hickam Airfield and the Naval Air Base on Ford Island. Clarence Miner was an airman stationed on Ford Island.
After all that noise on the tin roof up there and stuff were popping around, I looked up and I saw this airplane come diving down and that big meatball, and I said, oh shit. And then all hell all over the place was breaking loose. Bombs dropping, machine gun fire. And like I said, the things are so darn low you can throw rocks at them.
While the dive bombers hammered the airfields, the torpedo planes descended to an altitude of a few dozen feet and took dead aim at Battleship Row. Aboard the Argonne, Charles Christensen had a perfect view of the first torpedo run.
He's coming in almost straight across me at a slight angle across, and he's low enough that he's maybe 30 feet off of the water, which puts him maybe eye level or a little more from me, and I can see the man's face. He's got his helmet on, he's got his goggles on, and he's looking over the side, and when he straightened that plane out, leveled it out, he dropped that torpedo, and I thought, oh my God, look at that. And that torpedo just went as straight for the Oklahoma as it could go.
The Oklahoma started to capsize almost immediately. On the far side of Ford Island, the old battleship Utah also got hit a few minutes before 8. Clark Simmons worked on the Utah as a mess attendant.
And as I looked out the port, I saw a plane making a run on the Utah. And as she dropped the torpedo, the wing dipped, and then he straightened up, and the torpedo hit it, and another one right behind it did the same thing. And we knew that it was just a matter of time before the ship was going to sink. And actually it took 8 minutes. In 8 minutes, the ship was history. She had turned turtle in 8 minutes.
But the biggest blow was yet to come. Lying inboard of the repair ship Vestal was the battleship Arizona. High overhead, a Kate released an armor-piercing bomb that drifted down towards the Arizona's No. 2 gun turret. It was 10 minutes after 8. A film camera captured the moment of impact. In that instant, more than 1,000 crewmen died. The bomb had penetrated Arizona's forward magazine and ignited more than 1 million pounds of gunpowder. Those who were still alive found themselves in an inferno. Bert Davis went out in a whaleboat to pick up survivors.
Oh, God, it was horrible. Just one fella started to reach up to try to get a hold of the gunnel on the boat from the outside, and I reached down to try to help him, and I took him by the arm, and as I tried to lift like that, the skin all came off. He was dead by the time we got him in.
35 minutes after the attack began, the first wave flew away, leaving behind more than 1,000 dead American sailors, many of them teenagers, caught below decks when Arizona exploded and sank. Six decades after the attack on Pearl Harbor, the Arizona still lies where she sank with her cargo of sailors. Most of their bodies have never been recovered. Her superstructure was removed during the war. Only the mount of her No. 3 turret remains above water. The Arizona was built nearly a century ago, and she spent more than half that time underwater. The National Park Service, which is responsible for maintaining the memorial, periodically checks on her condition. With the help of a tiny ROV made available by National Geographic, workers will get their first glimpse of Arizona's condition deep inside the ship since about the time she went down. The initial survey reveals that the corrosion is worse than expected. And that may portend an ecological disaster because of something happening deep inside the ship. The Arizona has been leaking an estimated 2 pints of oil a day ever since she sank. But the Park Service is worried that the remaining fuel tanks, the ship's bunkers, could rupture at any moment.
Current estimates are that there's approximately 500,000 gallons, possibly in the bunkers on the aft section of the ship. And so with current technology, can we get to those bunkers? And what's happening with the metal on the hull and the internal portions of the ship? And so that's what we're trying to do, is find out, is there a way that we can contain that oil?
The problem is complicated by the ship's designation as a grave site and by the oil's symbolic meaning.
Many visitors and survivors consider the oil to either be the tears of the ship or the ship is bleeding. We'll also be dealing with that emotional feelings that people have about the oil and the significance